My name's Mark, and I'm the president of the Homeowners Association at Highland Beach Club in Highland Beach, Florida. Highland Beach Club is a condominium out on the barrier islands of Highland Beach, and we are a 200-unit property comprised of 158 units across 2 high-rise towers, as well as 32 townhome units. And we're kind of sandwiched between the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal. So my role at Highland Beach Club is president of the Homeowners Association, and basically that means I work with 4 other board members to help set the strategy with respect to keeping up with the physical plant, ensuring obviously the safety of all of our residents, looking forward to everything from structural integrity studies to the actual work that's being done. And of course, we have a management company that oversees day-to-day operations for us as well.
What was the operating or business issue that the Highland Beach Club was looking to solve?
So in looking at CallPass and other alternative solutions, the major problem that we had is that the property itself is going on about 25, 27 years at this point. And as such, there are unit owners who some have, some haven't replaced their water heaters. We have some, plumbing issues with respect to some of the risers and horizontal runs. And we also have folks who, being snowbirds or, not permanent residents, sometimes leave their water on. When any one of those things overflows or we get a water leak, obviously in a tower, if the water is not turned off quickly enough, basically you take out all the units below you. We have 2 11-story towers. So you can imagine if something happens on 10, you can guarantee that 10, 9, 8, and 7 are going to get hit. And obviously the residents in all of those units are going to be a little bit annoyed, angry, and put out for a lot of money to repair, all the damage to what's happened in their units. How do we get ahead of water leaks that are caused by these issues with respect to the air conditioning condenser units, as well as hot water heaters that, for whatever reason, age or what have you, spring a leak? Basically, we're trying to reduce the amount of plumbing costs, insurance claims, and other damage that the association is responsible for with respect to everything outside the unit, if you will, the shell of the unit. So the major problem, obviously, is how do you get to it quick enough, and how do you ameliorate that damage in a very short period of time?
What were the historic costs or recent expenses that have been associated with those problems? Have they been significantly high?
We took a look at these various monitoring solutions because what was happening, especially over the last 5 or 6 years as the property aged and obviously the hot water heaters and other equipment aged within the units, we were getting just a tremendous amount of damage. And every time it happened, we were looking at anywhere from, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a pop, depending on how many units were taken out in a line. So a few years ago, we would put in insurance claims, and of course there's a deductible. Of course, they subrogate with respect to homeowners insurance. And to be frank, it was taking up a tremendous amount of our property manager's time, as well as our supervisor's time, first discovering and looking to fix it, troubleshoot, etc. And then, of course, the time to bring in a contractor to fix, the major issues. Our own guys were handling some of the minor plumbing issues, of course, but the major stuff like mold remediation if necessary, or, removing drywall and repairing and repainting, all that kind of thing. There were a couple of years where we were spending upwards of $30,000 to $40,000. The issue became, how many claims can you make with the insurance company before they start to increase their rates?
When evaluating a water leak detection solution, what were your main requirements?
Number one, how do we solve the time problem? Plumbing, relatively straightforward. It's how do we stop things quickly before they just have that blast radius effect with respect to leaking water in a high rise. So we were looking for a couple of things. Number one, is it an easy to install solution? And number two, can owners and management be alerted whether they're here or in a secondary home, or in this case, primary home? And number three, is it inexpensive? And number four, can it be centrally monitored so that we don't, meaning our management company or our maintenance supervisor, have to stare at their phone all day, waiting for something to happen? So those are the major criteria that we looked at in looking for a solution. And that's essentially why we evaluated not only CallPass, obviously, but a few others. And there were certain other, criteria that, obviously CallPass, passed all those criteria. So,
how did the installation process go for deploying sensors across your properties?
So once we did make the decision and commitment to CallPass, for the solution, the installation process was fairly straightforward. Again, a 200 unit facility, people gave access. We communicated that to the community. We're doing this because here's the investment we're making. Here's what it's going to save us. We installed the sensors ourselves. It was extremely simple. Basically, you turn it on, it sends out a heartbeat, and CallPass picks it up. And then, of course, our property manager and maintenance supervisors have their phone app, and they can see live what's going on. And then, obviously, CallPass is the monitoring system that looks at it from the big picture.
Now that you have implemented the LANA IoT smart sensor solution, can you quantify the costs and damage mitigated or reduced?
I'll address the last first, and that is, yes, it has saved us a lot of money. Instead of spending, $10, $15, $20,000, a quarter, we're not spending that anymore. What happens is we get notification, and within minutes, one of the guys can go up to the unit and shut off the water there, or from downstairs, hit the riser. We can basically stop these leaks in their tracks before there's any significant damage. From an ROI perspective, the cost of the sensors is nothing. The monitoring service, obviously that costs something, but the ROI on this is instantaneous. It's literally a financial no-brainer for even a property our size with 200 units. Bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter. When you have water, it just causes damage, and it costs money no matter what you're doing.
Has LANA IoT improved your daily operations and maintenance processes?
Yes to all those things from an improvement point of view. From an operational perspective, we get notification of these events happening literally instantaneously when the sensor goes off. From a maintenance process perspective, same thing. That's part and parcel of operations. So when we get those notifications, there are at least depending on the day of the week, there are 2 or 3 people on site from a maintenance perspective that can respond to this. And of course, our property manager is, always on, whether she's here or not. But from that perspective, it's improved the ability to be notified and respond greatly. From a tenant perspective or owner perspective, that's vastly improved, obviously, because the sooner we can discover something's going on, that mitigates the amount of damage that happens with, a water heater springing a leak, or, the AC condensate overflowing, or what have you. So from an owner-tenant perspective, the experience is completely different. It's not, hey, your place is flooded out and it took us 20 minutes to even discover because someone downstairs saw it raining. Now we shut it off instantly.
Do your tenants and residents enjoy learning that you're proactively monitoring your properties with smart sensors?
Oh, they were very happy to hear that we were going after the problem proactively. So there was no friction whatsoever.
What advice would you give to other home associations or property management companies about water leak prevention?
From an advice perspective, I would say look for something centrally monitored, look for something simple, look for something that's not reliant on, internet access or fiber cuts or anything like that. And certainly the long-range WAN solution fixes all those problems. You've got an IoT device planted on, whatever you're monitoring. Those batteries last for a while. It's pretty much self-contained without having to deal with or rely on other infrastructure. So options that, check those boxes. And then, as we've talked about, looking at all the financial and time to repair or time to fix benefits that accrue with that solution.
How important of an investment do you consider smart sensors and water leak detection now that you have LANA IoT?
I think it's a very important investment, and to be frank, it's not a large investment, but it allows us to save, as I mentioned, those tens of thousands of dollars in repair costs and other damages that happen with water leaks. And as I mentioned earlier, we're being squeezed with repairs and costs like that on one side, and just in general insurance costs. We're able to generally hold the line on most of our expenses, here in the association. But the fact is, it's a very important investment because it saves the hard dollars out, but it also saves the time with respect to what our maintenance staff is doing. So there are some, tangible and intangible benefits on both of the sides of that.
Is it the HOA or is it the property management's role to determine if there are any insurance benefits?
It can only help our situation with respect to insurance costs and ongoing premium. Again, the hard dollar costs that we're saving right now, having the solution in place, is probably going to outweigh any insurance savings anyway.
Would you recommend the CallPass LANA IoT solution to other homeowner associations and businesses?
I would recommend the solution to other associations based on our, the to-date performance, the cost, what we've been able to accomplish having the solution in place. I would recommend the solution to other associations.